Mangwana ni malelepo vukenjani class vana ve Africa. Africa Good Morning is back with your top news stories from across the continent. The Southern African Development Community SADC is set to withdraw its troops from the Democratic Republic of Congo in a phased exit. In Zimbabwe, a political storm brewed as a war veteran publicly demanded that President Emmerson Mnangagwa step down. South Africa hosts an EU summit focusing on trade and diplomatic relations as new US tariffs take effect. A Freedom House report highlights major restrictions on press freedom and political rights across Africa. Plus, Namibia expands its e-visa system and continues efforts to bring electricity to rural communities. We'll also take a deep dive into the other stories making headlines in Namibia this week. Catch us on DSTV 285, GOTV 25 and Network Media Hub on YouTube or stream us on oneup2.com. We'll be getting into our top stories from Africa shortly.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Let's get into our top stories from Africa. The Southern African Development Community, SADC, said yesterday that a summit of regional heads of state had terminated the mandate of its troop deployment in the Democratic Republic of Congo and decided on a phased withdrawal. Now, the summit terminated the mandate of MIDRC and directed the commencement of a phased withdrawal of the troops from the DRC, the Southern African bloc said in a communique after the summit. A document seen by Reuters in February said the status of the bloc's mission to Congo needed to be discussed with parties to the conflict. The 16-member SADC deployed its mission to Congo in December 2023 to help the Congolese army fight rebel groups. It extended its mandate late last year, but the mission has suffered losses in 2025, and thus SADC has decided to withdraw troops from DRC. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa had, for the first time since becoming president in 2017, faced harsh criticism about his leadership from within his ZANU-PF party, with calls for him to step down. The accusations evoked memories of the lead-up to the coup that toppled his predecessor, longtime leader Robert Mugabe. He had come to power in 1980 as the revolutionary hero who ended decades of white minority rule. But his demise was heralded when veterans of the 1970s War of Independence withdrew their support for him. It was a war veteran and a senior ZANU-PF member named Blessed Geza, also known as Bombshell, who launched a verbal offensive against Mnangagwa. He became angered when some within the party began pushing to change the country's laws to allow for the president to seek a third term. In a series of often expletive-laden press conferences, gritty-voiced and with a furrowed forehead, he repeatedly called on the 82-year-old president to go or face being removed. Senior European Union officials were in South Africa for a summit with President Cyril Ramaphosa that centers on bolstering trade and diplomatic ties, as both feel the impact of the Trump administration's confrontational foreign policy. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa meeting with Ramaphosa at his Cape Town office in the first EU-South Africa summit since 2018. The focus of the 27-nation bloc will switch to its biggest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa after the EU announced retaliatory tariffs against Washington in response to the US President Donald Trump's new duties on steel and aluminum. The summit in South Africa will explore new avenues for economic trade and investment cooperation, as well as address any challenges and trade irritants, the European Council said. South Africa has been singled out for sanctions by the Trump administration over some domestic and foreign policies that the U.S. leader has cast as anti-American. Trump issued an executive order last month cutting all U.S. funding to South Africa, accusing it of a human rights violation against a white minority group in the country and of supporting Palestine. Now, in the last of our Africa stories, according to Freedom House's 2025 report, 21 African countries remain classified as not free, facing severe restrictions on political rights and civil liberties. Press freedom is under attack in nations like Egypt, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Cameroon, and Sudan, where journalists face arrests and media censorship. Political repression is rampant, with opposition leaders and activists in Uganda, Algeria, and the Republic of Congo subjected to arbitrary arrests and violent crackdowns. Governments in Sudan, Chad, and Burundi frequently impose digital surveillance and internet shutdowns to control public discourse, while vague laws in Ethiopia and Mozambique criminalize dissent. Despite these challenges, growing activism and international advocacy offer hope for progress. Countries classified as not free are Algeria, Burundi, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Gabon, Mali, Mauritania, Mozambique, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Togo, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Those have been our top stories stemming from Africa on Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at the weather before we zoom in on Namibia. Let's get into the stories stemming from Namibia throughout the week. The Namibian Ministry of Home Affairs has expanded e-visa and visa on arrival entry points after consultations with FENATA and tourism stakeholders. Travelers must register, log in, and apply online, with groups able to apply under one profile, though flagged applications can delay the entire group. No group payments are available, and regional flights or selected entry points do not affect applications as long as the border is gazetted. Transit guests are visa exempt, but all foreign nationals, including those with permanent residence or domicile permits, must complete an arrival form. The system grants a 30-day visa extendable to 90 days at 1,600 Namibian dollars for non-Africans and 1,200 for Africans. Required documents include a valid passport, motivation letter, proof of funds, accommodation confirmation, travel bookings, and medical insurance. Newly added entry points include Matamata, Klein Manasseh, Dobe, and Serdelings, with a full list to follow, bringing the total visa on arrival entry points to 17, including Walvis Bay Airport and Katwitwi border, to enhance travel convenience. Staying with Namibia, the European Union and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, in partnership with the Benguela Current Convention and the Deutsche Gesellschaft für international Zusammenarbeit, launched the Blue Benguela Current Action Project. This initiative aims to enhance governance and cross-border cooperation for the sustainable management of the Benguela Current large marine ecosystem, financed with a total budget of 230 million Namibian dollars. Ambassador Anna Beatrice Martins of the EU delegation to Namibia shares more.
Current large marine ecosystem is a real treasure and one of the richest marine ecosystems. It offers ample fishing stocks, it has oil, gas revenues, diamonds, and other minerals. It generates over 4.6 trillion Namibian dollars per year to the economies of Angola, Namibia, and South Africa, and creates countless jobs. We have an interest, therefore, in managing these resources sustainably to ensure that future generations can benefit from this abundance. But threats do loom, and that is overfishing, illegal fishing, as was also mentioned earlier, marine pollution, especially plastics, and climate change, that are all taking their toll. So raising sea temperatures and ocean acidification as well add to the pressure on the ocean's equilibrium. This is where today's Blue Benguela Current Action comes in, with a budget of 12 million euros, of which 11 from the EU. We have the resources to address these challenges head on. The action will support marine ecosystem protection, biodiversity conservation, and economic development through regional and country-specific projects. The Benguela Current Convention is a critical platform for Namibia, Angola, and South Africa to manage this shared ecosystem, and we are confident.
Several ambassadors of the delegation of the European Union to Namibia visited the Tidret project in the DRC informal settlement in Swakopmund. In this video, Edward Kaudu, project consultant, takes us through what the solar home system project is about, the benefits, as well as how many homes have benefited from this project.
By Mr. Edward Kaudu, who is the solar consultant and also engineer by profession, and we are currently at the solar home system project here in DRC in Swakopmund. Mr. Kaudu, can you just take us through the whole solar system project that you guys have actually installed in the DRC settlement for people?
Okay, so this project actually started with three main components. The first component was a feasibility study, where we see whether it is viable to use solar power within Swakopmund. And then we proved that it is possible with a lot of other solar installations also in Swakopmund. Secondly, we then started implementing it. So we went out on tender with the specifications of what we want to be installed in the houses. Obviously, we looked at what the supply and demand and what the tenants actually need in the houses in terms of load, in terms of electricity.
Okay, and how many beneficiaries have actually benefited from this project?
32 in total.
So 32 houses have this type of system in their homes. And what are the benefits of the system?
The benefits of the system is, look, when we came into this area, none of these people had electricity. And we then went out and then we sat down with the electrical supply industry, being Erongored, who's actually the electrical custodian for Swakopmund. And we also engaged the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development and other stakeholders like the shack dwellers to then sit around a round table and come up with a solution for our people. So what we did then is to give solar to these people. The benefit is that now they have electricity that serves them for 24 hours, 7 days a week, for 365 days in a year.
Okay, and the lithium batteries, I understand you guys have used the lithium batteries.
Yes.
So for how long do they last, the power? How long does it last?
Actually, the lithium technology that we went with is actually a C2. So it can actually discharge more than 50% of its power. And why we went with it is, if you can look at the battery, it's aesthetically pleasing. You can see it's aesthetically pleasing, and it's also not very cumbersome. So it takes a very little to no space when you look at the profile of the whole solar system. So we actually use these guys because they actually can last you up to a lot of years, and it can last you up to 16,000 cycles. So it only depends on how long or how much electricity are you drawing from this battery, and then it will determine how long you can actually have this battery. So 10 years, give or take, this battery will still be working, obviously not at the same rate that it was working when it was new, but it will still be doing its job fairly well. And we've been running this pilot house for more than a year now, and these people have electricity all throughout the day.
NamPower has significantly advanced energy access in Namibia's southern regions, completing major electrification projects in Hardap and Karas. In Hardap, 37 million Namibian dollars was allocated, with 6.5 million Namibian dollars specifically for Matahwe Informal Settlement Extension 1, August Dem and Chris villages, energizing 115 households in Matahwe and 21 in August Dem and Chris. Despite a decline in Hardap's electricity access from 67% in 2011 to 62% due to migration, the government remains committed to improving access, including through off-grid solar technology. In Karas, 12 million Namibian dollars is earmarked for future projects following the recent electrification of Itsavises and surrounding villages, benefiting 45 households. NamPower also energized 14 households in Nuvilkalka and in Yakosdrai and 25 in Yakosvlei, totaling 98 households and 2 boreholes with electricity access. These efforts are part of a broader government initiative to expand rural electrification, ensuring efficient use of public funds through competitive tenders. Now, NAMRA Commissioner Sam Shivute urged Namibian traders to get accredited under the Authorized Economic Operator AEO program. He explained at Day 2 of TRS report that accredited businesses receive VIP treatment, bypass queues, and have dedicated relationship managers to assist with customs concerns. This will save businesses significant time, he told Market Watch.
Accreditation, what that means is then that when your company, your institution is passing through our borders, you will be given special treatment. You will be given VIP treatment. You will not even need to go in the queue, because you will even have a special relationship manager, so that whatever challenge or concern you have with customs or NAMRA customs, then your relationship manager will address that with you. What also happened is that 2 years ago in Johannesburg, South Africa, in June to be specific, we as SACU Commissioner Generals, we signed a recognition agreement for authorized economic operator, meaning that if you get accredited by Namibia Revenue Agency as an authorized economic operator, when your truck or the goods that you are importing or exporting between Namibia or any other of those other SACU member states, you do not need to be subjected to all customs procedure, search and inspection. You'll be given a special treatment, and also within a period of 3 years, you will not even be subjected to audit. And this will save you a lot of time. You're not going to spend time at the port of entry or at the border. And therefore, I just want really to encourage Namibian traders, especially those who are in the business of importing and exporting and those who own trucks, to consider ensuring that their businesses are accredited as authorized economic operator. They can approach Namibia Mill. Namibia Mill is one of those companies that has been accredited and enjoying those benefits. But the benefit is not only in Namibia, even in South Africa.
Let's get into the economic indicators before we return with the sport. The MTC Nestor Tobias Boxing Academy has announced a free tribute event featuring 3 title fights set to take place on April 12th at the Ramatex Hall in Windhoek. The boxing promoter Nestor Tobias spoke at a press conference at the Sports Ministry's office, sharing details about the event and its significance to the boxing community. They will be honoring the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma.
Yeah, of course, Funny father, Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, is a visionary leader. He had vision for this country before independence and after independence. And he's a fighter, he's a unifier, and he can keep people together. That's how he keeps the plain fighters together without no resources, small resources, ammunition, he didn't have enough, but his heart, His heart, that's heart. We learn from him. You must have heart. You see, you must not tolerate anything. Don't accept any defeat. Don't surrender. Don't quit. That's what we learn from him. When I go to his office, he's always telling me, no, him in the front, he was also fighting, and he never gave up. In boxing, he was combating the war and boxing. In the boxing, you see, at the war you can die. In the ring you can also die. So you have to defend yourself, and you must attack all the time, So when you say, when the enemy retreat, you attack. When enemy attack, you organize yourself for the next move. You don't give up, you don't quit. So for us, the youth, all that time, the sportmen, the sport department, and so on, we learn a lot from him, and we achieve a lot from him, because we could not participate internationally before independence. Now you can see every sport code, every person, even the business community, they're trading international. There's no more those sanctions and other things, So that's the impact. The founding father, even those who was fighting him before the independence, they are benefiting now for what he was fighting for: independence, freedom, free speech, and of course free trade. So we are a free trade country. We trade all over the world. Even those who was supporting the apartheid system, now they're benefiting also. We bring the reconciliation to this country. So most people think, hey, now Swapo will take over the country. They're gonna chase out this and this. No, funding further. He brings reconciliation, so everybody to work together, one Namibia, one nation. So let's love each other, So that's the impact the founding father play on me, on every Namibian, also in Africa and the world at large, So we lost a very visionary leader, a selfless leader. As you can see, you read about corruption. The other president he got a mission somewhere and what? No, not with the founding father. You don't hear those things, He was working for us till his last day. He was 95 years, Till his last day, he was still working for us, Like I say, even when I learned from him, you can see there was lockdown during COVID and so on. Nobody was supposed to see anyone. Everyone is locked up. But the founding father still invited us to his farm, He gave us blessing before we went to USA to fight, with Nakafira fight. So that's what I say. We can still learn from him, and we have to make sure his legacy lives on. It's like he said, what he was doing when he was fighting for this country, he was not fighting for himself. He was fighting for us. Now for us, this fight we are organizing, with the legacy we were talking about, we try to teach the new generation to understand, where we come from. So what we are doing now, we are not doing for ourselves, we are doing for the next generation. We put up structures in place in sport, so the new generation can benefit from this.
Now, the first of our 8-part series remembering Dr. Sam Nujoma, the last man standing, goes live tonight on NTV at 6:30 p.m. as well as on 1up2.com and DSTV 2 at 5 and GOTV 25, where you can find us as well. My name is Ashwin Bedi. It's been a wonderful week from the Africa Good Morning team. Sweta Jaganaka.